Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy, red bumps start on my arm, then my back. Sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Non-binary listeners, ladies and gentlemen, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookins, the kinks. The audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose, or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinokombat.com.
I'm still here. I still want a voice. Give me the API.
Billy, I thought you fixed this. T-Rex, I just sent TRG an email. I'm not doing this. Somebody fix this.
We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our host's past performances are not indicative of anyone's future performance, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events unrelated to outcomes may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents, spelled with a K, of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights reserved.
It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin Gambler, just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
Father Christmas, give us some money. Don't mess around with those silly toys. We'll beat you up if you don't hand it over. We want your bread, so don't make us annoyed. Give all the toys to the little rich boys. Welcome to episode 160 of our Casino Kombat podcast. With all due respect to Mariah Carey, that is probably my favorite Christmas song of all time, in part because it offers such a unique perspective on things related to money, poverty, Christmas, gift giving, the idea that what's important to one isn't necessarily important to the other. A lot of ideas I like there. Not your traditional Christmas song, and I'm not sure why it's on my mind, but it has been on my mind, and I didn't know what else to put into that little part of the podcast. So there we go. Episode 160. Wow. We've been doing this for a minute, y'all. If this is your first time, if this is first and you're wondering what's going on and it's a little bit weird and twisted to you, it is a little bit probably weird and twisted. In an attempt to entertain, enlighten, and educate without boring and being professorial. So if this is your first time, what we try to do here is offer a unique perspective on playing and winning the game of casino gambling. If you go to casinos and play your game of choice and expect to lose, may I humbly suggest you are trying to beat the wrong game. And I'm not saying, no, don't play slots or don't play craps or don't play blackjack. At some level, I play any or all of those things. I certainly do. But the game I'm trying to beat, the game I'm trying to teach all of you to beat, the very beatable game, at least in North America, that I am trying to beat is the game of casino gambling. To do that, you have to be capable of playing games with wagers that are almost a coin toss and finishing with an outcome that matches the math of the game. We can do that, and I can teach you how to do that if you can't do that. And it's not the game to beat. That 50-50 wager is not the game we're trying to beat. We're trying to beat the game of casino gambling and illustrate how the game of casino gambling can be beat. This podcast attempts in its own unique way to teach what I know about winning that game. And my friends, my very good friends who came back to join me again for the next time. Thank you all so very, very much for the gift of your time. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you being here and being involved. Every episode, I put together something I call our battle plan, the list of segments we are going to spend time on together today during this episode. First up, we are going to have a Questions My Sons Ask segment. I got a somewhat confrontational question from Prometheus recently, and he seemed to have his mind made up and didn't really want to listen to my answer, and that's fine. But I'm concerned that other members of the squad might be seeing things in the same way. So I want to answer that question for all of you today. And that is, I think, going to provide a wonderful bridge to another conversation that I had. And I think that conversation is going to be useful. Questing Scholar recently wanted to do a call for some questions that he had, and I realized that I should be recording things after we started. Mrs. TRG jumped in and put her phone on record and captured most of the conversation. I think it will illustrate why I think Prometheus is mistaken, or at least seeing through things through a lens of privilege. Then I have a wonderful new Padawan parable for you, something that came out of a conversation I was having with Nakatomi Tony. We have the parable of the Padawan, the Path, and the Master of Pebbles. And then we will finish up in the virtual VIP lounge with some sips and an update on the burglary that I've been dealing with and the math that goes with it. And I appreciate all of you checking in on me, wondering how things are going, and those of you that have asked for a follow-up. And I want to do that, not to make this about me, but because the follow-up has many aspects that intersect with casino things. And so I want to show you a real-life application of casino wisdom ABC, always be casinoing. So the virtual VIP lounge is going to be, yes, about the aftermath of that theft and where the theft took place, who I am, what I do, created some issues, challenges, roadblocks, and speed bumps. And how, in the end, applying that casino wisdom and a little knowledge and being a bit clever, perhaps, allowed me to use casinoing to help accomplish some things in my real life. And my instinct here is to look at this stack of paper and say, well, this should just be a quick one. This should be easy. This shouldn't take very long. And I think we know that that rarely happens. I often end up rambling a bit, and this will be as long as it takes, as it always is. So that's the battle plan. Let's dive into what is going on in the Casino Kombat galaxy. First up, always most important, big news. We have a new member of the Excelsior Brigade. This is a welcome that's been delayed a bit more than usual. I thought I had a call sign for our newest member. I thought I had it all figured out. And then Inner Circle member, East Coast Emissary, Fourth to the Ring, PhD, had some other and frankly better ideas. And then those got tossed around a bit and fine-tuned a bit and polished up real nice. I really thought originally that Casino Kombat Chef's wife, LMNOP, had what would be the most complicated call sign we were ever going to give out. And this one is even more complicated and in true ECE fashion, very clever. The newest member of the Excelsior Brigade of Casino Kombat is a gambler to be named later, and that's spelled as follows, or laid out as follows: the letter A, the word gambler, the numeral 2, the number 2, the letter B, the word named, the letter L, the number 8, and the letter R. A gambler to be named later. Welcome. He and I have been exchanging some emails back and forth, some thoughts and ideas back and forth. I am so glad that he decided to be part of our squad. Let me check the notes here. What else? Oh! The intro stuff from the last episode. I don't know what's going on. I did a collaboration with Fish Audio. They sent some instructions. I followed the instructions. I connected the glory code to their code. It's all just ones and zeros on my hard drive. It should work. I put in some sentences. The sound files get sent to T-Rex. Boom, done. One less thing I need to record. A clever bit of their technology. It's a fun little bit, right? About 2/3 of a day's pay in revenue to keep the lights on. And something isn't working right. What is supposed to be Glory's voice, I guess, is a creepy old man or an elephant or a clown. I don't know. And words I didn't write anywhere end up being put in the files, and T-Rex is trying to fix. Hopefully today's intro and outro are clean and easy and correct. Billy with the great last name is a much better coder than I am. He looked over everything that I had done. He found a couple of things he didn't think were right, and also a couple of things that, quite honestly, he couldn't figure out, but hopefully it's all set up. No one emails me to tell me there are issues again this episode. I'm hopeful. Which leads to the next big news. Wow, we got so much big news. We need a word bigger than big news. Not sure what that word is. I have expanded the Casino Kombat music library. I had some ideas for some lyrics, for some topics, for some themes. I have created 3 new songs, and one of them will be our music to wrap up the show today. We have a world premiere. First time heard anywhere outside the glorious Casino Kombat studios. We have the world premiere of I Want to Be a Detroit Cowboy Just Like Kid Rock. Kind of a punk rock song a little bit. A lot of fun. Some lyrics I really like. We're going to use that to finish up the show today. So if you normally fast forward through the Casino Kombat blues, you might want to stick around, and maybe you won't, and that's fine, but you might want to stick around and listen to this great new song. I got a couple more. I previewed one of them for the folks in the Slack channel, the Slackers as ECE likes to call them. Showed one of them there. I got one more, and then of course this one, I Want to Be a Detroit Cowboy Just Like Kid Rock. Finally, news from the Beyond Galaxy, I guess. This is not the episode 160 that you were supposed to get. This is not the episode that you were supposed to get at all. After the last episode, one of the authors of Blackjack Beyond the book called and said he was ready to do an interview. He thought all of you should hear directly from him, and I thought so too. And I agreed to that, of course. When I say this is our podcast, I mean that. More than I mean just about anything I say here. I want this to be a platform for exchanging ideas about gambling so that everyone can benefit. Bruce Dye is a listener, a member of our squad, and better, a member of our squad that thinks I'm wrong about things and that he has a better idea. That's great. I am happy to participate in the arena of ideas as it relates to gambling. So as I do with most guests, I put together the questions that I wanted to ask and sent them over to him for review and revision if needed. I don't like to do gotcha journalism. I don't even think of myself as a journalist. That's a label other people have put on me, and I've just decided to accept. Bruce agreed to the questions, and we set a time for the interview. Honestly, a lot of the questions didn't get answered, but it was an interesting conversation and one we were excited to bring to all of you. And one of the things that I said to Bruce near the beginning was that probably 10 people a year tell me about the book they are writing, including the guy I see in the mirror every morning. And Bruce and his partner are the first and only ones to say that to me and actually publish a book. I wanted to help them promote the book in any way I can. I would do the same thing for any of you, even those of you that don't always agree with me. That's a wonderful opportunity to use this to do some good and to help people. So we finished the conversation and we planned more segments to come in the future, and I sent the audio as well as the AI intros and the outros and my opening and closing thoughts. I sent those all over to T-Rex for him to do his magic and edit them down and make an episode. He spent hours putting together an episode for me to review, and as we were getting ready to make a couple of little adjustments and hit the publish button and send it out to all of you, Bruce called. And he was upset, and he was not happy, and it had nothing to do with the conversation or the contents of this podcast. I had acted as a casino host several weeks ago for him and his family during a visit that they made to the Red Rock Resort and Casino near Las Vegas. When they were growing up, I always told my children that if 2 people had a conversation in a room, there were 3 versions of what happened. Person A's version, Person B's version, and God's version. And it would be unfair of me to give my version of events and not have Bruce give his version of events as they happened at Red Rock. We don't agree on that sequence of events. And it's really not an option to have him give his opinion at this point or his version of things. He is angry at me. But here's the crux of the matter without providing a bunch of details. And I do think this is relevant because I've promoted his book to all of you. Many of you have purchased a copy of the book because of me. So without going into details, the crux of his anger is that he didn't like the cost of his visit. Apparently, he had just seen the charges come through. He thought it should have all been comped based on a very small amount of play and a very low ADT. It wasn't. So just know that. Just let me put the facts there. The author that is advising all of you to play his way, not mine, and not worry about comps. The author who said in his book that people like myself telling you that comps are part of how you win the game of casino gambling are wrong. A man with a buy-in that could pay off the mortgage on my home was so angry about not being comped that he decided to, I guess, punish me and by extension all of you by pulling a segment that myself and my team put hours and hours of work into preparing to help him sell books and by extension his ideas to all of you. So the metaphorical inn in the mist with the door opening to both the Casino Kombat galaxy and the Beyond the Book galaxy is closed. It's closed at the request of one of the authors because he didn't like his comps. All right, wow. There is a bunch of stuff going on in the Casino Kombat galaxy. There really is. The first item on our battle plan is a Questions My Son Asks segment. Let's get started.
What? What? What?
My sons ask questions about gambling. Listeners ask questions about gambling. Members of the Excelsior Brigade have excellent conversations with me about gambling. So let's do a question first, and then we will get to the conversation. I was talking with Prometheus. He perceives himself as in an adversarial relationship with casinos. We don't necessarily see that the same way. They try to take his money. He tries to take their money. He clearly feels that I crossed the line and sided with the enemy by agreeing to work for Premier Casino Hosting as a sub-host. So very literally, at one point, his question was, whose side are you on? Or more accurately, which side of the fence are you on? Our side or their side? And I chuckled to myself when he structured his question that way. You see, as a farm boy, he just told me that he's never built a fence in his life. That he really doesn't understand fences and how they work in practical applications. I've built a lot of feet of fence in my youth. I've walked fences after storms and repaired them. Chased down livestock that escaped fences. Often on long fence runs, we would build what's called a stile. Basically, a short two-sided ladder that lets humans cross the fence line and, in fact, at the top, stand right on the line that the fence on itself creates. So cows, horses, sheep, they can't get past the fence. Humans, they can go up one side and down the other. And sometimes if we were moving food or hay or tools or equipment, one person would in fact straddle the fence by being on top of the stile and handing things from one side to the other for those that we were working with. Those people in that position literally had no side of the fence that they were specifically on. They were on both sides, and they acted as an intersection, a portal, a pass-through. That's how I see my role working for Premier Casino Hosting. And I really should say with, not for. It's a wonderful resource that they've allowed me to bring to all of you, and I gotta sit in the middle of the fence to do that. I get to have conversations with help from my bosses that players don't normally get to have with the casino in my experience. And I get to negotiate with the casino on behalf of my guests, on behalf of all of you. That's access I didn't have when I started this podcast. That's access that many of you would not have had in your casino gambling journey. Now, to be clear, if you play at a much larger level than I do, you start to have people in the casino to have those conversations with. But I, for the most part, don't have that access. I don't play that big. Most of you that I work with honestly don't have that access either. That's why this is a wonderful resource for us. Most of us don't have an assigned host at most of the places we play. We're not that important. In my life, I have 2 properties that have assigned me a host. Casino 1, 2 hours south and east of my home, has assigned me a host, and Bubba is excellent. I've known him for years. He always takes care of us when I text. I also have an assigned host at my local casino. I'm sure he wouldn't know my name without looking it up, and when I email him, he generally ignores me and does nothing. And that matches my experience with other hosts over the years. Some good, some bad, some really helpful, some basically not even worth having in my phone. So which side of the fence am I on? I'm right in the middle. I'm sitting right on the stile, trying to help both sides benefit in a useful way. I'm always going to negotiate for my guests to get them every comp they are entitled to. Quite frankly, I've been amazed at how much we are able to do for our guests. I went into hosting thinking I understood that at level of play X, comps would be Y. And that's based on my life, my comp history, what I know about my play, and what I would generally get prior to being hosted by PCH. And so I would get a report from someone's play after I'd set up their reservation. I'd think, well, they played enough to get their room comped. Or in some cases, boy, it's going to be tough to get them comped next time based on that play. Many times we are able to take off some of the room charges as well. Or in the case of low play, the room comp the next time is not an issue. We are getting them more than I would have expected them to be able to get based on what I've gotten in the past. So I am on the casino side in that I'm going to do my best to bring them the type of guests they are looking for. For instance, I would not bring my sister-in-law on a cruise knowing she isn't a gambler and won't play because I am on the casino side in that regard. But I've seen how much I can do for the squad by sitting on that fence and being helpful to both sides, acting as that portal, acting as that interface, doing things for my listeners that I could not have been able to do for them otherwise. And I've been able to teach along the way. I've been able to educate along the way. And that's the mission I gave myself. To show people what I knew that they didn't know about the game of casino gambling. And as a wonderful illustration of all that, let me tell you about the next part of this segment. Let me tell you the story about this next question. Questing Scholar sent a text and said he had some questions and it was going to be easier in a phone call rather than a set of texts. Could we talk? So of course I said, sure, and we had the call. He had a reservation I had set up for him at Caesars in Atlantic City. And it was going to be just him and a friend of his, and the friend was making his own reservations. His wife got a player's card the last time they were in Atlantic City together and played some video poker. So she has a rewards card, she has an ADT. He wanted to know about combining cards and how that impacts comps. And if he could add an extra night at the beginning of his stay, and she and a girlfriend could check in a day earlier than he checked in. I explained that MGM actually lets two people who have the same mailing address combine their card and share tier status and comps, but that Caesars does not do that. But that we could put two names and two cards on the reservation, and she can show up before him and check in, and as long as his play, when he is there, covers the room comp, it's not a problem. And I also knew from his previous play that we were able to comp him up to 4 nights in the Atlantic City market off season, so it wouldn't be a problem in any way. And as I was explaining that to him, I remarked that I should have been recording, and Mrs. TRG, the radiant goddess of Casino Kombat, heard me say that and started recording video and just put the phone down beside my phone to capture the rest of the conversation. The sound quality is a bit echoey because of where we recorded. T-Rex is going to try to clean that up, but it's less than perfect. And we are joining this conversation in progress, but I think this illustrates the kinds of things I can help do by being on the fence, not on either side. At this point in the conversation where we're going to join it, I was telling Questing Scholar about a reservation I wanted to make some time ago at a hotel, and the hotel host was telling me the hotel was all sold out. So let's listen in, and then I'll resume my part of things on the back end.
I'm sorry, we're sold out.
And I said, oh, my wife and I really wanted to come down, and we're not going to drive all the way there. It's 5 hours. We're not going to drive all the way down and pay. We want to come there, but we would pass other places we could stay for free. He goes, oh, your wife's coming. And I said, yeah, my wife's coming with me. He goes, oh, well, what's her number? Oh, we just had a vacancy. We'd love to see you. I wanted to go on a charter. And I'm on the Caesars website, and I'm looking at the charter, and it's $400 a person.
Right.
And then I add companion, and it's comped for both of us. So if I had only put in my card, right, it'd cost $800. Adding my wife's card, the cost went to taxes and fees, $30 a person.
Okay.
So we can leverage all of the action because the room is the same cost for one or for four.
Right.
But the ability to comp it is based on all the play we're going to put in the action.
Okay.
What action is the house going to expect to get?
Right.
Whether you win or lose.
Right.
What is your average wager going to be and for how long and at what games?
Okay. Let me tell you why I'm asking, and I'm wondering if, it sounds like this might be going in the right direction. So had you booked a room for me for Saturday and Sunday?
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels on everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
Right.
Now, my wife, again, I'm going with my buddy Ken, the guy who met.
Right.
My wife has been trying to plan this girls' weekend with a couple of friends of hers. And they wanted to go to Newport, Rhode Island, which is a hot, spring, summer place. But the rooms are ridiculous, it's just, and one of their friends, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but, money's a little tight for her. She's going through some shit right now. So I kept saying to them, listen, why don't you just come down Atlantic City? You stay in my room. I'll go stay in Kenny's room, or I'll get a free room at resorts or whatever. And so finally she took me up on it. But then she's like, can I check into the room? And I was like, why? She goes, because we want to go down Friday. And I was like, oh. So my question is, can we combine, a lot of this, I'm sorry to be a pain in the ass.
No, you're not at all. Trust me, you're not.
Is it possible for you to combine her and my cards together, in Caesars? Then would it be possible to change the reservation instead of the 17th through the 19th? It would be the 16th through the 18th. But would she be able to check in without me there? Because I won't be coming until the next day.
She has a Caesars Rewards card?
Yes, she got it when we were there a couple weeks ago. That one, I booked through you.
Okay, so here's how we do this, okay? This is actually very easy, and you're not being a pain. She has a Caesars Rewards card. I need you to email me all of her information. Name, address, phone number, date of birth, rewards card number.
Okay.
Then we will modify your reservation for the dates you want and add her as a guest in the room. She's a player. You're a player. As a couple, you are more than eligible for this comp. There is a weird possibility that they might be willing to move you to a junior suite with her additional ADT. Like that's the way. So this is no big deal. I just need her information. I need to get her in the PCH computer system as our guest.
Okay.
Then I just can't imagine it will be at all a big deal to comp both of you, and whoever shows up, their name is on the reservation. They're a player, they're a guest, it's easy. And we'll comp based on both of you on the back end, and how you use the room doesn't matter. Who you put in it doesn't matter. What does matter is that you're both on property.
Right.
And that over the course of the days, you play. And the only downside if you don't play is the next time it may be no.
Okay. It's not a problem. Like
oh, no, I know it's not.
Friday.
Right.
She might play a little, I don't know, they're not going there to gamble. They're going there to go to the spa and maybe go to a show and dance or something.
Good.
I'll be down there Saturday,
charge it to the room.
Sunday.
Charge it to the room. Give me the information on her girlfriends. Let the girlfriends be guests.
Okay.
Maybe in a year, one of them wants to do the same thing. Now they've got a card. Now they're our client. Now they've got a play history, as trivial as it is.
Okay.
Like, we might be able, just suppose somebody goes and they're our guest and they put $20 through a slot machine. That's the only thing they do. But they spend some money at the spa. They spend some money at a restaurant. They charge it to the room. That gives them tier points and reward points.
Okay.
And now if a year from now maybe they call a year from now and they go, hey, we really want to go do this. Right. Caesars in Las Vegas, New Orleans. Now we can make the reservation, and maybe all we can do is say, the room is normally $300.
Right.
We got you the casino rate of $100.
Right.
And if you do any gambling at all, we may be able to reduce that further on the back.
Okay.
But at least we've got a record. We've got something to base a relationship off of. It's not 100% yet.
Right.
But we took some friends on a cruise. They are not gamblers.
Right.
They cycled between them maybe 100 or 200 through some slot machines over the course of 3 nights.
Okay.
He played about an hour of table minimum craps with me on 2 nights.
Okay.
I just got them comped on a 7-night cruise out of New York City.
Wow.
Because the cruise line wants guests on this cruise, and they have reduced the ADT so much that I said, oh, well, my friend and his wife were just on a cruise with us. They're not really gamblers. I mean, he played a couple hours with me, an hour on 2 nights. I was teaching him craps, just low stakes. Would he be comparable? And they were like, type. Yep. So
Is this Royal Caribbean?
This is actually MSC.
MSC, okay.
But the point being,
I got a question.
Oh, sure.
Because I went on, I was mostly talking to your wife because you and Kenny were into the technical stuff at the bar.
Yeah.
But I went on the same cruise you guys went on to the Bahamas.
That's right.
Port Liberty.
Yeah.
And I did that in July. And I was trying to work on the points, but I didn't have enough balls. So I was doing play all day. And they've been sending me things consistently that they're going to give me 1 free room. 1 free passenger and an additional passenger at a discount.
Right.
But they give me like a handful of sucky choices that are all out of Fort Lauderdale and California.
Right.
Like, would you be able to bump that up a little with what I've been playing with last week and next week and whatever?
I think the most honest answer I can give you is probably.
Okay.
Once again, it's easy. Pick a cruise.
Right.
We'll submit your information and now your wife's information.
Right.
Kind of as a resume. Here's the player. Here's what you know about them as a brand because they were already your guest once. Here's what we know about his wife's play recently in Atlantic City. What are you willing to do? And the cruise line may say, here's a balcony. Thank you.
Right.
And they may say, oh, hey, we want to do this. And it's going to depend on the cruise, and it's going to depend on how booked the cruise is.
Right.
And that's, I would say, a revelation to me very, very recently. And I'm so glad my lovely wife put her phone down here on record to capture all of this. All of this is a negotiation. between the player and the casino, reflective of how much the casino is interested in that guest in that place on those days. And we all build a resume. And what Premier Casino Hosting does is present your resume to the property. And in some cases, like you with Caesars, now off season, it's always just yes, thank you. You want to come? Here's his resume. You know him. Oh, yes, please send him. We want him here. That's wonderful. We're so happy he's coming. If it's Super Bowl weekend in Las Vegas, hosting the game, the answer might be the best we can do is casino rate for sure.
Right.
Look at play on the back. It might be, oh, sure, send him, and we have no one in the presidential suite. He's welcome to it.
Right.
So, but that's, yes, with Royal, and we'll take your Royal and your wife's Caesars, and we'll go ask Norwegian. Or because you want to go out of New Orleans and you've never been on Norwegian, but that's the cruise you want. That's the dates you want. That's the locations you want to go to. And it is, casino wisdom, if you don't ask, you don't get. That doesn't mean every time you ask, you always get.
Right.
But yeah, the more Premier Casino Hosting knows you as a guest, knows the people traveling with you as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Literally your wife, her girlfriends, they might be comparable on a cruise on what they say they're not going to gamble. Maybe because of what they spent.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So in the system, with a gambling resume, large or small, is in everyone's best interest, and it lets us help the most.
Gotcha.
When you're on their property as our guest, we can act on your behalf. The girlfriend, problem at the spa, right? Got overcharged, got undercharged, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If she's just there with your wife, we can't do anything. If she's our guest, we have direct access to the inner workings of the hosting side, the casino side, not the customer service side.
Right.
Right? We're talking through the casino hosting piece of it, and we can be useful if there's a problem, if someone is there as our guest. And if we didn't put them on the list, we can't help.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of information, there's a lot of answers there, but to all of it, yes.
Yeah.
In my initial conversations with you, that was my focus, right? Let's get you in the system as a guest.
Yeah.
Because then the next time I'm not explaining who you are.
Right.
We're able to show who you've been.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I canceled that one and I had you book it.
Right. That's and so other people that you take, we want to be their representative.
Okay.
And if we're their representative, it makes it easier for us to represent them again, other places.
You know what? And that's good because I'm going to see Kenny because we're playing poker this Thursday night.
Uh-huh.
When I see him, I'll talk to him and see if he wants to connect with you. And so maybe even would we look into doing the same thing? Have him cancel and have you book it?
That's what I would do. And it seemed weird to me.
Do you think it's getting too close to that weekend though? Could they sell out on a May Saturday or something?
Look, the faster we book, the faster we know.
Okay.
I don't have access to Caesar's systems to answer a question like that.
Gotcha.
But the quicker,
really just talking to you.
right? But the quicker, the further out, not quicker. That's the wrong word. The farther away from a date something is, the cheaper it is on the casino side. And the cheaper it is, the easier it is for your ADT to rise to that level where it's a comp. So, all we can do is say, here's the required data about the player. We'd like to make a reservation. Do you want to make the reservation, and what do you want to charge? That's a really simplified version. The real conversation is, here's our guest, here's his number, here's his name, address, date of birth. You can vet, because they're vetting that you're a real person.
Right.
They're vetting you're not an identity thief. Right? So as soon as they prove you're you, as soon as they're convinced that we're telling them about a real person, that we haven't stolen, you haven't stolen, whatever, someone's information, then they just look you up and they tell us what it's going to be. And it used to bug me. We had some guests out in Vegas, and it used to bug me because the answer they would get would be $70 casino rate, and we'll look at play on the back.
Right.
And in a couple of cases, I thought, from my point of view and my ignorance, that they should have just been comped up front. But we got to the back, and I looked at their play, and not judging anyone's play, but I went, oh, they didn't play very much. And then the casino said, we got all of it, and we're taking off half their food.
Wow.
So I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of it anymore to tell somebody it's good to work with us, even if the first offer is not as good as what you could have done on your own.
Right.
Because then we get access to your play, and over, every single time, what I see PCH do is get stuff off that I know from my life experience that the casino wouldn't have done for me if I walked into the host on duty and asked.
Right.
Sometimes as much as a month later. I mean, it blows my mind that Premier Casino Hosting spent a month working with Sunset Station to figure out why Equine Ensign didn't have the play that we knew he had. He knew he had, we knew he had, the casino believed he had,
right,
but it wasn't on his record. And it was on his credit card. And it did take about a month to get it tracked down, but they tracked it down, they figured it out. He ended up with 2 cards, one on the room with one number, and one that he was playing with in the casino.
Right.
And once they figured it out, they went back and comped it off.
Okay.
That's not happening, in my opinion. That's not happening to TRG when there's a confusion at Sunset Station. We're going to have a quick conversation, and they're going to say, we're going to look into it.
Right.
And then probably that's the end of it.
Yep.
But nobody dropped the ball on this. So I'm sorry that this has ended up being a commercial, but I hope an educational commercial in the sense that people in the PCH system represented by PCH have an additional tool. And we'd love to have your wife in the system, and we'd love to have your wife's girlfriends in the system. And maybe we never do anything for them. Maybe they just go and spend some money and have a good time, and they're never interested in going back again. Cool.
Right.
But maybe they do gamble a little. Maybe they throw $20 in a slot machine, win $5,000, gamble one of the $5,000 back through the machine.
Right.
Have a great time, have a great story to tell, and now they have a resume. I'm maybe overusing that word, but now they have a record of play that says they're $3,000 coin in.
Right.
Now it's easy to comp them something the next time, and if the next time they don't do anything, well, they got one more value out of that fun weekend.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right. Awesome. That's all good stuff. But yeah, you answered my main question. I'm
Cool.
happy about
Yeah.
that.
So if you send hers.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault, a new series streaming now, only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
She's out shopping with her sister now, and I don't have her card with my pile of cards. So let me get in touch with her. Try to get, maybe she has her number. She can send it, text it back to me, and then I'll get it to you as soon as possible.
Cool. We'll get that move expanded to the 16th to the 18th.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. This is going to help a lot of people. That's the great part about this is my wife dropped the phone here on record, and now you and I have just taught hundreds and thousands of people this same information.
Awesome.
That's really cool. So I'll look for that in my email and we'll get it all set up.
Excellent. All right. Great. Thanks.
Yep.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too. All right. Thank you to Prometheus and to Questing Scholar for those great prompts. Next, a new Padawan parable.
Padawan!
Oh, Anakin.
Master!
My young Padawan learner.
You're reckless, little one. You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan. But you might make it as mine.
Our parable today is the Padawan, the Path, and the Monk of Pebbles. A Padawan and his master were walking the path. They had totems and rituals. They were confident in their skills and abilities. They walked many places that they were familiar with, having many experiences and seeing many friends. They came to a part of the path that the Padawan did not know as well. He spotted a small side path, narrow, rocky, uphill. He asked the master, "Is this dangerous? I've never been here before. If we walk this way, will we find the bear?" "No," the master replied, "there will be no bear. If you have not yet walked this part of the path, you may learn a lesson, but it will not harm you." They climbed up the rocky trail, and as they went, the master pointed out small stones that the Padawan should pick up. Eventually they came to a cave. When they entered the cave, the Padawan was surprised by how well decorated it was. In the cave was an old man, older than the master, a monk if you will. He asked the Padawan if he would like to play a game. The Padawan agreed and asked what the stakes of the game would be. The monk replied, "I have these pebbles. Do you have any small stones? We could play for those." The Padawan started with the 10 small stones he had picked up. Over time, he had more of the monk's pebbles and then less of the monk's pebbles, sometimes even losing some of his small stones, which the monk always carefully returned when he won them back. He eventually left the game with his 10 small stones and several pebbles. He thanked the monk for the game. The master asked the Padawan, "Did you succeed or fail?" "What does it matter?" the Padawan replied. "They were only pebbles." As they left the cave, the master said to the Padawan, "Only one place on the path have I ever encountered these pebbles. Only the Monk of Pebbles will play for them. Many have tried to win, even won, and failed. They are valuable almost beyond price. You may charge whatever you would like for them, and someone will surely pay. The only challenge was to leave the cave with even one more pebble than you started with." The little lion's favorite teacher says, "We have ears, say cheers." My favorite teacher said, "If you have ears, you should listen." Here ends the lesson. Okay, big thanks to Nakatomi Tony for the conversation that created that Padawan parable. Let's have some sips in the virtual VIP lounge. I've got some experiences to share that I think we can all learn something from.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen-to segment in casino lifestyle podcasting, the virtual VIP lounge. Our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything virtually all the time. The best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge anywhere on the interwebs, guaranteed, or your money back. As always, if you can, if it's an option, press pause. Let's hang out together as we would in a VIP lounge. Pour a drink, fix a plate. If you can't, please do so virtually with us. It is late. The house is quiet. Mrs. TRG won't be home for a little while. I have got a small pour of aged at sea bourbon that Casino Kombat chef gifted me when we were in Las Vegas at Sunset Station. A perfect sip for this conversation, I think. Several of you have asked for an update on the bag that was stolen from my car at my local casino. I truly appreciate everyone who checked in on me after that. I've been fighting with the insurance company on this for a little over a month, almost exactly a month, off and on. And a fair amount of the difficulties were casino related. And I, in fact, pulled off what I consider a clever bit of casinoing at the end of everything. So since the casino was both a large part of the problem and a small part of the solution, since if we were sitting in a VIP lounge, you might say, hey, TRG, did you ever get things sorted out with the insurance company? And then we'd talk about it over a drink. I thought I would share the details with you today in the hopes that once again, others might benefit from some of my experiences and understand where some of the difficulties lied. For those of you who might not be up to speed on this, for most of you that might be listening for the first time and not know about it, for those of you that might not have listened to that episode prior or recalled it, here is the setup. I parked at the casino where I always park. My everyday carry bag was on the front seat instead of in the back hatch where I often keep it. The same bag that I take with me when we do our casino travel. My car is supposed to lock when I walk away from it. There was no sign of forced entry, there was no broken window, but the bag was gone when I returned. The bag was covered under my homeowner's policy, which has a $700 deductible, and there were enough things of value in the bag that there would be a small payout even after the deductible and the depreciation rules were applied. I did a police report. I reported our passports stolen to the State Department. I reported my handgun stolen to both the police where the casino is located and to my local police department. The insurance company was both suspicious and difficult from the beginning. Why was I at the casino on a Monday afternoon that was not a holiday instead of at work? And I said, I create content in the casino lifestyle space. I'm often there for a few hours in the afternoon getting content ideas or testing things that will be content. I also often meet players that become listeners and eventually hosting customers because I also work as a casino host. That response did not turn down the suspicion, but it got the process moving on and moving to the next step. After some papers moved back and forth, I was sent another stack of forms to be filled out and a sheet I needed to sign and have notarized. That page would have given the insurance company access to all of our banking records, all of our tax records, all of our business banking records, basically everything and anything about us. I called the adjuster and left a message saying that I wasn't signing anything like that over what would be, after the deductible and depreciation, a rather small amount of money. It was an unreasonable ask in my opinion. I didn't get a return phone call to that call. And real work got busy, and family got busy, and problems needed to be solved, and things needed to be done. And I'd think about calling again, and then I'd get sidetracked onto other things that were more important, quite frankly. And I really started to decide the fight not be worth having. It might just not be worth the level of battle that it was going to take to get this resolved. It might just be easier to earn the money to replace the things and go on with life. I was much more concerned that I might have a stalker, or that I might have been profiled, than I was about an insurance company that was being difficult. I was just going to treat the insurance company like an employee that didn't do their job and fire them when the policies were due to renew. And eventually, the adjuster called and asked to record a phone call, and I said, sure. I thought you guys just quit when you didn't return my call. And the confrontational nature of things returned. Again, why was I there? Why was I in that building? And why did I have these expensive things in the bag? Where was the receipt for the bracelet I claimed was in the bag? Where was the receipt for the watch? I explained again about being a content creator and a admittedly minor influencer in the casino space, as well as a casino host working with brands like Caesars and Royal Caribbean. And the ignorance about casinos continued, and the bigotry against gamblers was obvious. The suspicion was obvious. They don't understand what a casino host is. They don't know what that means. They don't understand that it's actually a real job that pays real wages. And I gotta meet customers where they are, and customers are players. That's who I'm looking for. I had to explain all of this, and they really weren't happy about the answers I was giving them, as honest as they were. I explained that the bracelet was purchased on a cruise ship and was delivered to me in a small bag with the receipt, and I was told the receipt was the lifetime warranty. So the bracelet and the receipt were in the small bag, in the larger bag, because if I ever needed to use the warranty, it would be on a cruise ship, because that's the only place I ever see that store. The bag was the bag I would take on a cruise, which I have coming up, and that's also why our passports are in the bag. I had provided a picture from Instagram that showed me wearing the bracelet at Beau Rivage. They knew I had the bracelet. They knew I had bought it. They knew I had worn it. We had a reasonable replacement value on it. Again, casino, all over that. So more bigotry, more doubt, more I can't be a decent person who's telling the truth, because all of this, the casino just keeps being involved over and over, and I must be broke and need to steal their money. Clearly, because somebody that goes to a casino is going to be broke and need their money. And then there was the watch. It was a casino gift from a Caesars property for remaining 7 stars well over 10 years ago. Again, the casino company doesn't understand how all of this works. They want me to call Caesars and get proof that they gave me the watch. And I explained that they didn't specifically give me a watch. They brought 1,000 people into a ballroom, gave us some free drinks, gave us some heavy appetizers, gave out some free play as door prizes, and everyone picked up a watch on the way out the door after being thanked for continuing to be a guest. The year before, they gave us a tablet. The year after, they gave us a laptop. I really doubted that they had records of each person who was at the event. In addition, that particular property had changed ownership out of the Caesars brand since that time. It was no longer owned by the Caesars Corporation. And you can see, I think, that the insurance adjuster needed an education in how casinos operate to even understand what was going on. Well, I still need to try to get the casino to prove they got this watch and gave it to me. And I pointed out that since that time, not only had the ownership of the specific casino in question changed out of the Caesars company, but that Caesars itself was now owned by Eldorado, not Caesars, which got us to... I'm sorry, I need that drink now. I'm getting fired up. What did this get us to? I think I'd know that, sir, says the adjuster. I was just in Las Vegas. Caesar's Palace is there. It's not called Eldorado now. Okay, more teaching, more explaining that the Caesars Corporation owned the license to run the resort, that the resort is owned by a real estate investment trust, not by a company called Caesars Palace, and that a company called Eldorado bought the rights to run all of the Caesars branded properties and kept the name Caesars Palace because it's much better known than the name Eldorado. Educate, 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 while I'm being accused. So we were back to, why would you have these things in this bag in this place? I explained about ship's time and having the watch only for cruises. I explained about the podcast and wanting to look like someone who could believably be a successful gambler during an introduction by a pit boss or another player or a dealer. That does happen. Thankfully and wonderfully, I do have times where some dealer will say, oh, ask him. He does a podcast about gambling. He knows about all this stuff. Pit bosses make those introductions. Other players make those introductions. I'm explaining all of that to him, to them, that I want to look like. I mean, what does a successful gambler look like? And admittedly, I don't know. I know a bunch of successful gamblers now, and they all look different. But I'm thinking, if I am in beat up Crocs, a stained set of gray sweatpants, and a t-shirt all stretched out at the collar, and you introduce me and say, this guy is a successful gambler and podcaster, I don't quite look the part. So I try to look the part, and I explained that to them, and we went round and round it, and at least twice I said, I get it. You are winning the longer you keep me involved with this and not paying out the claim. And the response was, no, you just have to do this so we can get it resolved. Certainly the ship has a record of what they sold you. Sure, how do I contact a ship that is currently in Europe? Well, you just have to figure it out. And at that point I said, or I don't. And the adjuster said, well, what do you mean? I said, I've spent about 4 or 5 hours on this so far. There is a point where you expect me to spend more time than it would take me to earn the money that you are going to send me, at which point I'll just go earn the money and be done with this. Which got us to, well, you have to understand your car wasn't damaged. No detective has been assigned to work the case. And I said, I'm sorry, that's between you and the police. I'm a very educated man, but not in the area of urban police procedure. I don't know what the police are supposed to be or not supposed to be doing. I guess I assumed they were busier with much more important things than a few possessions stolen out of a car and that they really weren't going to get involved. And then I said, but what is your theory of the case? Inspector? Adjuster, what is your theory of the case? Let's talk through that. Your theory is that I'm trying to steal a relatively small amount of money from your company. To do that, I was so stupid that I went to a place where I am well known and parked in a garage with cameras everywhere. And I guess I threw my bag in a trash can, or I guess maybe I kept it. But then I was such an idiot that I called the State Department and lied to them about my passports, which then I have to pay hundreds of dollars to replace since they are not covered by insurance. We know that I both did make that report and did file to have my passports replaced. I have no choice. I'm traveling in 5 weeks. Then I reported a gun stolen that I guess was not really stolen. And I'm going to keep that gun and risk being caught? Am I going to sell it and transfer it and get caught? Why would I create all those problems for myself to steal a fraction of the value from your company? I'm just that stupid. Really? I'm just so stupid that I didn't think to keep the passports and the gun out of all this and report some other things that don't exist worth roughly the same amount of money as being in the bag instead of the gun? I wasn't bright enough to park in a garage without cameras where no one knows me and go in a bar and buy a root beer on my credit card as proof of where I was and keep the receipt for the garage and then make up my story from there? I don't know what's more insulting. The idea that I'm not smart enough to do a better job of stealing from your company, or that I need to give you access to my banking and business and insurance records and tax returns to have my claim processed. If you don't want to pay this claim, feel free to just cancel it. And that ended the phone call. Well, Mrs. TRG overheard this conversation, and we had some conversations, and she's starting to get a bit worried. If they fought this hard over something so trivial, what were we going to go through if something serious happened to the house? If we are out of the house because it's burned down, is this the fight we're having? It seemed like a reasonable concern, so I got to thinking. I've got a lot of customers that have been with me in the IT space for a long time. If one of my longtime customers were to complain about a portion of a bill, say I billed for 9 visits, and they said one of the visits they didn't think that I had done the work well, or that it had taken too long, or whatever that concern might be, and they were to complain about that or just mention it, I would just refund the money. They're good customers. If you're saying 1 out of these 12 visits, we don't feel like we got good value, it's the first time you've said anything in years, boom, done, off the bill. Sorry you feel that way. I apologize. Here's your money. I wouldn't like it, but I'd just smile and refund the money because in the scope of the relationship, it would be a small amount of money. But maybe I was thinking about this wrong. As a percentage of the home insurance relationship only, maybe this wasn't a small amount of money. So I called my agent and I said exactly that. What portion of my monthly bill was for just the house? And I could have looked it up. I could have. But I had done so much work for them already that I wanted them to do some of the work. And I left that conversation with my agent thinking maybe I was wrong. They were going to pay out most of the money I paid them for a year. They would make no money on the policy all year and still have the risk. Maybe I was being unreasonable. Maybe I did need to at least make a call or two to Royal Caribbean to see if they had a sales record that they could email over or portfolio or something like that. And the next day I got an email saying the insurance company didn't need any further records. They were paying the claim minus the depreciation, and I would get the depreciation money back by providing receipts when I purchased items to replace what was lost. Boom. Suddenly they just dropped it. Suddenly it was just done. I don't know if somebody listened to a recording. I don't know if something I said about the theory of the case was persuasive to a decision maker. I don't know if the insurance agent called the adjusters and said, "What are you doing?" He's pricing things out and he's wondering if it's worth doing this. What are you doing? I don't have any idea what happened. I just know that this went from uber confrontational, aggressive on their part, confrontational, accusatory, to we're just paying it. Here's the money. So here's the neat bit of casinoing. Here's the application of the casino wisdom ABC. Always be casinoing. The casino gift from all those years ago was a Citizen's watch. My local casino in their swag shop sells Citizen watches. I bought a really nice watch that I really like using free, tax-free imaginary money. They put the watch and the receipt in the bag. The receipt shows the purchase price. It doesn't show that the money to pay the purchase price came from an imaginary casino account. It just shows Citizen watch and a price very appropriate to what was listed on the loss form. I sent the receipt to the insurance company and they sent over additional money to cover the depreciation they had applied on the watch. I have a watch, compliments of a casino once again. I have the money for the full value of the watch to help offset a portion of the deductible. Yes, my casino background caused suspicion and difficulties in trying to resolve this. Yes, unfortunately, from their point of view, I'm considered a shady and untrustworthy person because of my casino background. But in the end, my casino skills and imaginary free, tax-free money allowed me to find a casino solution to an everyday problem and benefit from it financially in a way that had nothing to do with gambling.
Please, tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host, but don't tip away your wins. TRG has spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out he was wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand. TRG was born a ramblin' man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. The best part of the podcast is next. Thank you again to Fish Audio for providing my glorious voice. Special thank you to my original actress, author, Julia Tverdovskaya.
We're nicing down the boulevard, sun on my face. Got my leather jacket on, feeling the race. From the Motor City, I've got grit and pride. Living life on the edge, got nothing to hide. Kicking up dust as I ride through the night. I'm with a spirit of freedom and a heart full of fight. And I wanna be a Detroit cowboy, just like Kid Rock. Rocking the stage with my dreams on lock. Now raise a glass high, let's make some noise. And in this punk rock world, we'll be the boys. Down from the gritty streets to the roaring crowd. Got my band together and we're feeling proud. With the sound of the city echoing in my soul. And every chord I play, it makes me feel whole. Been gonna sing my story through blood, sweat, and tears. Living for the moment, pushing through fears. And I wanna be a Detroit cowboy, just like Kid Rock. Rocking the stage with my dreams on lock. Raise a glass high, let's make some noise. And in this punk rock world, we'll be the boys. Yeah, the night is young and the lights are bright. We'll chase those dreams till the morning light. From the bar to the show, hear that guitar scream. just like Kid Rock, rocking the stage with my dreams on lock. Raise a glass high, let's make some noise. And in this punk rock world, we'll be the boys. So here's my shout out to the open road, and with my friends by my side, let the legend unfold. In the heart of the city, we'll never slow down. I'm a Detroit cowboy wearing my crown. Here's my shout out to the open road, with my friends by my side, let the legend unfold. In the heart of the city, we'll never slow down. I'm a Detroit cowboy